A more professional person would have done that before the stream started, but I had this sudden urge to clear my throat. I'm still a bit phlegmy. And yes, Musical Aviator, hello. Coinciding with the old World War I, just over 100 years ago, was another pandemic, which is a thing that we shouldn't have forgot, but appear to have. And hello, Miguelich. I think that's a bit better, getting that bit of phlegm clear, that's the thing. Hello, Charlie. How are you all this evening? So Aidsy's just been texting me, so Aidsy intends to join. So that could happen anywhere from 30 seconds to 30 minutes from now. We shall see which way this goes. A cooling beverage. We're starting to get some warm weather in Melbourne. Not so much today because it started to rain now. I think we're getting a couple of days of rain, possibly even thunderstorms overnight, possibly even while this live storm, possibly even while this live stream is going on. So that would be a bit of fun, but we shall see. It's meant to be cool down for a couple of days, then get hotter down again, and then I don't know. That looks very volatile. So I wouldn't really trust that weather prediction. Charlie, you forgot it was Remembrance Day and you're fucking a vet. I assume by that we mean a veteran and not a veterinarian. There's something humorous? Yeah, humorous about forgetting Remembrance Day. Darkly humorous. Haruhi, Trump's kickstarting the MAG rally. Of course he is. That is a potential source of an enormous amount of money from him. Like I say, he's not going to try and stay in the White House. It isn't a viable option. It isn't something that can happen. But he can say it, and he can whip up those fucking morons in rallies, and he can say, keep sending them fundraising things, for the fight fund, which he will, because he's a fucking con man. I like that Mega Leech thing. The comment, Trump's kickstarting the MAG rallies. Oh, what is he using crowdfunding to fund them? No. It kind of is. He's sending emails out to all these fucking idiots saying, give me money. And they are doubtless giving him money. So, yes. Yeah, I don't think he's... Well, actually, no. The Republicans have been subverting democracy for ages with voter suppression and gerrymandering and stacking courts and whatnot. Trump will be disrespecting democracy. I don't think his attempts to subvert democracy are going to go anywhere. Yes, Peter, absolutely excellent point. When anyone says, lest we forget, okay, yeah, let's think about everyone and everything impacted by war. And yes, the war horses didn't go out. Civilians, the support staff, medical staff, all the people who were traumatized and killed by war. And the people whose homes were destroyed and forced to flee, the refugees created by war. Let's not forget about any of them. Charlie, your guy wants to forget about time in Afghanistan. Fair enough. Shouldn't feel pressured by any particular ideology. Everyone's their own person, or at least, in an ideal world, everyone's their own person. Oh yeah, I saw that, Megalich. The Trump Secretary of State, Pompeo, thought he was making two big funny jokes, saying there'll be a smooth transition of power to a second Trump administration. People didn't find that particularly humorous, by and large. Hurry, that's a bit melodramatic. The death throes of democracy, populism, late stage mob rule, outright autocracy. Yeah, but Trump's going away. Simple as that. Look, okay, until the electoral college votes are declared, there is a grey area, as they say in the mathematics, a non-zero chance of some form of subversion. Bearing in mind, there's also a non-zero chance a meteor will hit Earth and wipe us all out in the meantime as well. So, Biden's going to be sworn in. You want a real complicating factor if Biden dropped dead before the electoral college votes were declared. That would throw the cat among the pigeon, because that would make people like Trumpos really foam up and say, oh, people didn't vote for Kamala Harris. No, that's not valid. More, should give it to the person who almost won. Give it to Donald Trump. That would complicate things. But again, that's an outside possibility. It's not a zero chance of it happening. It's not likely. It's not. I would say it isn't going to happen. But nothing in this world is certain. None of us know what tomorrow brings and whether we'll be part of it. It is, the world is that random and capricious. But barring any extremely unlikely turn of events, Trump will just keep blathering. He'll go back to his rallies because A, his ego loves it. B, he can fleece a lot of money out of those fucking morons who go to them, because he just has complete contempt for. I find it hilarious. No one thinks less of Trump supporters than Trump does. He has complete contempt for them, but he can fleece them for money, and he'll continue to fleece them for money because they're idiots. Hurry, the VP's job, the only real job the VP has, is to cast a deciding vote if the Senate is tied. And of course, if the president is no longer able to continue in office, the vice president takes over. So, yeah. Oh, Mega Leech, yeah. Conspiracy theories if Biden died before Jan 20. If Trump died, and that's still a fucking high-risk thing. The other thing, will Trump run in 2024? Okay, I haven't said this before, but I'm going to say it now. Trump will be dead before 2024 because he's not in good shape as it is. You'll probably suffer some longer-term effects from COVID. He'll overstretch himself. He'll live in denial. He'll pump himself up with more drugs, and he'll fucking die. There you go. That is my prediction. Trump won't run in 2024 because he will be dead. And that will start the conspiracy theories. No matter how obvious his cause of death is, the absolute fucking morons who follow him and the QAnon idiots will lose their tiny little fucking minds with conspiracies. So reality doesn't matter anymore. What's AIDSy saying now? Okay. I think he's maybe gonna join it. Oh, Peter Pryor. No one likes Trump Jr. He's a fucking sad, greasy little loser. Not even Trump likes Trump Jr. They're full of delusions. Now, Ivanka, on the other hand, she has some populist, but I mean, if she's smart, she wouldn't want anything to do with it. I see it as just all downside for her. But Trump Jr.'s got fucking nothing going for him. So I could see him thinking he should run for president. But nobody likes him. No one at all likes him. He's pathetic. So, what we are in danger of is, if people say, is Trump a fascist? Like, no, Trump doesn't have the attention to detail to be a fascist. Trump doesn't have the follow through to be a fascist. Trump is a narcissistic bully with authoritarian tendencies. He's just like the worst extremes of a narcissist. And he did have close advisors who were straight up white supremacist, fascist ideology touting, Hitler loving fucking psychopaths. So that's why you saw so many policies that's like, that really looks like fascism. It's not from Trump. Trump was okay with it, but it was people like Stephen Miller and Steve Bannon who are the actual dyed-in-the-wool fascist white supremacist scumfucks. Haruhi, the GOP certainly will have trouble recovering from Trump. They will have trouble being anything apart from the party of Trumpism now, which is a truly horrifying thing. Because what we learned from Trump's ascendancy is the Republican establishment are spineless fucking losers, horrific sycophants, just absolutely terrifying people, quite honestly, with just how horrible they are. And they are very, very, very horrible people. Absolutely soulless, just horrible, creepy, grasping, money-grubbing, power-crazed, fucking pond scum. They suck so much, and it's ridiculous. Yes, I did see, Huri, that Bannon essentially said that Fauci and I think someone else should be murdered, and then he tried to claim he didn't say that, and it's just like, dude, you are preaching to psychopathic Nazi wannabes. You just casually saying they should be murdered is direct fucking incitement to really unhinged people. That's right, Peter. He said beheaded. He said he should be beheaded. And it's like, when you're a fucking uber right-wing psychopath who has fans who are dangerously unbalanced, heavily armed right-wing psychopaths, that's a straight-up incitement to murder. Celtic King, Nazi-loving bog creature Steve Bannon said Dr. Fauci and someone else should be beheaded on one of his fucking Nazi talkback things. As you, Peter, they should be beheaded and have their heads put either side of the White House gates as an example. You see, when you're dealing with the sort of psychopaths who love listening to Steve Bannon and his ilk, there's no such thing as hyperbole. You talk about murdering people because they deserve it. There is a frighteningly sizable chunk of that audience who just hears a literal call to action. And anyone who says otherwise is either a fucking moron or deliberately lying. So, choking on she. Hello, how are you? Celtic King. Steve Bannon is an horrific ultra right-wing shithead who was one of Trump's main advisors early in his regime. Chokin, you're in hospital in Bristol. I hope you are okay. I know things are not particularly great in the UK COVID-wise. I'm not sure if that's why you're there, but if you're not, it'd be like everyone else in the hospital is. Oh, choking on a see. I read choking on a she, choking on ashes. Thank you. Thank you. I'm silly. Hooray, wasn't Richard Spencer arrested for embezzlement? Probably. They're all fucking grifters. Was Richard Spencer tied up? I know Steve Bannon was tied up in that absolute scam about donate money to build the wall on the Mexican border. Maybe Spencer was too. They're all fucking criminals and grifters on top of everything else. Captain Deadpool, thanks for Monday around about Remembrance Day. Taking time out of online college for a minute of silence. Why not, indeed? And speaking of things to be remembered, I don't know, that was a bad segue. AZ, how you doing, buddy?
Hello there, big guy. Did you like my shave?
Yeah, looking very sexy. Looking very
I
sexy.
didn't have a shave. I thought I'd just try and play it off as a shave.
Right, what happened?
Hey?
What happened if not a shave?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I got up and went, I should have shaved and shower. And I went, nah, don't wanna. And then I went down to the shops and no one said, ew, homeless man, burn him with fire. And I went, oh, I got away with it there. And boss of the house was cooking stinky things. And I thought, well, I can be stinky too. And no one cares. It's on the radio. And, you know, the peeps there. Oh, by the way, that special guest we might be getting on.
Oh, cool.
Is probably going to be lurking tonight. So I better not bag him out too much.
Well, I reckon we should tell everyone about the possible thing that we're planning.
All right, go for it. Enjoy.
Well, the thing that we're teasing here is AZ's old man, famed through various stories about being a horrible piece of shit who nearly killed AZ several times just by being a cheap bastard.
Cheap bastard.
He might join us on a live stream from Canberra, possibly to defend himself against heinous charges from the AZ man.
Just to bag shit out of us, me, and everyone else.
That is another possibility. So,
famed misogyny, expert political opinion based on hearsay. Good background.
Yeah, I just thought I'd share that background. Yeah. Always was, always will be.
For Roger, you could have too. However, he has been sadly, bloody defamed by the society, the Royal Society for Protection of Cruelty to Worms.
Right.
He was ambushed by a hate campaign from a group of virtually Antifa, Black Lives Matter protesters, that have basically gone, you're being cruel to worms, and he's heart bleeding. Like why would they do this to me? And I took note of this, and I had to go to Tibet to converse with several spiritual leaders, just so that I didn't bring down a northern Korea nuclear attack.
Oh dear.
The Royal Society for the Protection of Worms. I felt like bringing in US Special Forces, but I thought they won't leave.
Yeah.
And so I just thought, okay, there's got to be another way. So I've aligned my chakras, and I've I've gone the middle road.
Good man.
I've gone
Good man.
Look, you're attacking the wrong guy, and are worms any good anyway?
Yeah.
And I'm looking for video of worm cruelty.
Ooh,
So
that's a bit of a thing. So
I don't know
sorry.
about
Oh, I do
video,
also want to
like
say Helly and
story.
hello to Kirsten, and
Hey,
hello
Kirsten,
Big
how you
Pat.
going?
Wrestling Days. Oh, and exciting news from Charlie. She's packing for another short trip to Brizzy and might get dicked down later. So yeah, that's what we like. Bit of action.
Now, nice, good one, Charlie. See the
Yeah,
ears pay off.
yeah, that's a thing. So, oh, Chris, you're still worried about Trump trying to make a coup. Trump does not have the energy to stage a coup. He loves saying shit. He is the type of person who, when he sees a bunch of orphan babies with a high power fan keeping them cool, throws handfuls of diarrhea into it because he thinks it'll be funny when the shit sprays everywhere and someone apart from him has to clean it up. But it's all just bluster. It's just to set up his next scam. It's to spend the next 4 years milking absolute fuckwits for money, going to all those rallies. And he loves the rallies because they feed his ego and he makes money from them. And he's just going to keep fleecing these absolute morons. But he doesn't have the energy to try and have a coup. And because he's lost all the support, like Murdoch's officially told him to fuck off. And some of the Republicans are making sort of noises like, "Bro," but they can afford to say, yes, we want to make sure all the votes are legal and they're all counted and it was all fair because they were all legal. They are all counted. It is all fair. And so they can say things that sound like they're supporting Trump, but then everything gets validated and they go,
It's
oh,
all
well,
fair.
yeah. Oh, Chris is talking about he fired the civilian leadership in the Pentagon. Again, Trump randomly fucking fires people for whatever reason. That's really quite astoundingly true. That, and who knows what happened behind closed doors there. He might have said something about get the army to do X, and this guy went, yeah, you can't do that. That's a big no. And he went, okay, you're fucking fired then. And the guy went, cool. I walk out with a little bit of integrity because you fired me.
Civilian leadership in the Pentagon go to corporations and write checks for themselves in the many zeros.
Yes.
So getting out of their contract early to go work for Boeing, Raytheon, and
Yes.
fucking Martin Marietta is fucking no skin off their nose whatsoever.
Yeah.
As the West Coast goes, come to the sunshine where you will have your dick blown by young people of whatever gender you feel or nationality. Age is not a problem. Not for us. And they just happily walk into the limousine that will fly because they invented it. If you had any idea of what US Pentagon doctrine was from an insider's point of view, if you had that kind of access, and if you had that kind of security clearance, the money you could make at a corporation,
it's ridiculous.
That
it's
builds
ridiculous.
fucking weapons or builds systems.
Yes.
And I'm not even talking about computer systems. I'm talking about fucking doctrinal systems, right?
Yeah.
Because people think, these generals sit there and they think up these amazing tactics. No, they take out a big folder, and in the folder is Tactic A21, Tactic A25, Tactic B44, and Plan Orange, Plan Pink, Plan Pink, by the way, was the plan to take over Britain and Canada and Australia. It was the plan to take over the was back then British Empire, but now is the Commonwealth. because the US used to have invasion plans for every empire / coalition / governmental system in the world, knowing that they'd never use some. In fact, some of the Plan Pink documents, and this was written in the 30s, are fucking hilarious. At one point, they talk about riding the horses and unicorns freed from the tower up Pall Mall to then surround the royal family that's trying to escape. I mean, it's just a throwaway few pages to bulk out a chapter, because they knew there's no one's going to fucking use Plan Pink. It's just never going to happen. So the authors were fucking around. But Plan Red is fairly fucking detailed and fairly big. Plan Red was all about Russia. No, the Soviet Union. They updated Plan Red, which was Russia, and then it was the Soviet Union. Then it was the Warsaw Pact.
Warsaw
Plan
Pact
Red
was the Soviet version of NATO. Yeah.
But
the thing you're saying about them getting jobs, it just blew my mind, because just today I saw this tweet. There is a website, a satire website, a spin-off of The Onion called Clickhole. And that was invented a couple of years ago, because with all those clickbait sites like, you won't believe what happened next, or 10 reasons for blah, blah, like the worst, shittiest sites. And they set out to
why you should never eat a banana.
Yeah, they set out to parody those horrible, shitty things, which seems like an impossible task, but they're actually really good at it, which is mind-blowing. But they published this thing today, and listen to the headline. And this is from a satire site. Inspiring. This amazing organization gives disgraced former politicians a second chance at life by setting them up with six-figure consulting gigs. Like, where's the satire? That's not satire.
That's not satire.
That's straight. That's Clickhole's just straight reporting there. That's a thing that happens.
That's just a real thing. That's the Rand Corporation. Have you been thrown out of public office through shame or sexual misconduct?
And that's okay. Let me. Okay, now I'm going to read. It's short. It's like here's a story that will have you on your feet. After getting ousted from office, disgraced politicians across the nation often find themselves in dire straits. But thanks to the amazing organization New Starts, these down-on-their-luck politicians are being set up with six-figure consulting gigs and a second chance at life. Absolutely incredible. Whether they embezzled money, accepted illegal gifts from lobbyists, or sexually harassed their subordinates, New Starts helps any and all ex-politicians get the new lease on life they so desperately need. So it's just like, that's supposed to be satire, and it's just real. But
it's just real.
Yeah,
it's just real.
That's why.
Yeah. I always wondered if life had gone a bit differently if I hadn't have joined a union and then joined the Labor Party and got a parliamentary gig.
Yes.
What I would do when I got kicked out of Parliament as a drug addict.
Yes.
And what consultancy I would go into, because a speaker like me, you don't just throw them away.
Yeah.
If I can sell fucking crack to staffers, I can sell fucking coal to the Greens. Lobby consult. That's me. I am that guy. I'm trying to.
The aliens are contacting you.
Aliens with my own surname.
Right, okay.
I don't know if they're actually watching me right now.
But it's a coincidence that that's what it is.
Yeah. I'm going to tell everyone a terrible secret. That myself and Angry sometimes on the DL leave our message on so that if we want to give each other an emergency message, we can. And I can't have both of the things in my line of sight. So I have to have the noise. And if the noise isn't appropriate, I can't fucking hear it. And I can get onto it very quickly, as you know.
That's all good,
but occasionally other people take advantage of my kindness. Not you, but other people. I'm looking the other way. And do things that way. Has the storm come through your place yet?
No. Does that mean it has at your place?
No, it's coming. It's just about here. The pressure build up earlier on had my fingers. They're still up a bit. It was up like sausages, and I was like, boss of the house was going, "You're very annoying." And I was going, "No, be affectionate toward me," and he wouldn't. So I've been hassling him to be affectionate toward me, and he said, "I'm studying. I don't have any affection."
Oh no!
And, yeah, I thought that was me.
Jeez.
That's a bit.
That's a bit dark.
Or autistic, either way.
Yeah.
What do you do when you go, "Hey, loved one, you should go and do a Spurg test," and they go, "No, I don't want to." No.
I guess the big thing is, what difference would it make?
None.
Yeah.
Well, it actually does. It actually does. When I got told I was a Spurg in my very early 30s, before it was a thing, again, trendsetter.
Yeah.
Not hipster, trendsetter.
Trendsetter, absolutely.
People say I was on these before they were a thing, right? Hence hipster.
Yes.
And I was going, no, I was on these before the hipsters. Hipsters
a year, not slightly before. You had that a year before anyone even knew what they were, and which makes us sound like hipsters. And like me with the selfie stick, the monopod to shoot YouTube videos, years before anyone was doing it. But we say and it sounds like we are trying to be hipsters, going, "Oh, I was actually doing that before you even knew about it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had the short hair before it was short. Yeah. And I had the shave of the beard before it was cool again.
Yeah. Talking about somehow we got onto your sales abilities. Could you sell Obamacare to the Trumpos?
Yes.
But okay, the simplest cheat would be to not call it Obamacare, because I've seen multiple things of people saying, "Oh, well, I'm glad I wasn't stuck with Obamacare. I had the Affordable Care Act, which gave me stuff I need." But you have to sell it to them as Obamacare. That has to be the name of it.
Okay. No worries.
Now?
Yeah, okay.
I love putting you on the spot.
Obamacare is a dirty thing made by a president that no one likes. You'll agree with this, won't you, Trumpoid?
Yes, that is absolutely true.
And Obamacare is an attempt to basically make you pay for the treatment of
undesirable,
those who display
undesirable,
and TWB.
Too much melanin. That's what we're talking about.
Too much melanin. That's who they want you to pay for.
Yeah, I know.
Well, don't you think it's time for you to get a bit back? You've been paying for too much melanin for so long.
Yes.
Don't you think it's time to get a bit back?
Yeah, when do I get mine?
It's time that you basically got yours back from fucking trying to carry them on the litter all the time. Don't you think it's time that you got something from them?
When's the straight white man going to catch a break? Yes.
The straight white man finally catches a break, because what's written into Obamacare, while a certain lanky Nigerian wasn't watching, was that the white man gets a bit too. And because there's more white men than your other, guess who's paying for most of it? That's right. You're getting something. You're getting it. I know.
So we can trick them. We can trick them so white people benefit. Is that what you're telling me?
That's what I'm saying.
We found a way to trick them so white people finally get something.
White people finally get something, and basically they can't do anything about it. They can do protest after protest and get shot and taken off to casualty, but they have to wait in line after you.
I'm going to rub their nose in this.
Rub their nose in that. And basically you will be getting effectively cheap healthcare paid for by them. So
see, that's what I'm talking about.
Take it on. Take it on.
Yeah.
Just tell all your mates, tell as many of the good church-going people as you can to take it on, and the benefits will flow. And the disgusting thing is the benefits will flow.
I know, and that was always the stupidest part of their objection. Yeah. That was always the dumbest part of it.
The benefits will flow, though. It will be cheaper. It will be better.
Yeah.
The healthcare companies are shit, but their actual healthcare will come down.
Yeah.
Their premiums will come down. They are the American health insurance industry is the most opaque industry known to humanity. Yeah. They just make up their own shit all the time. And effectively, we operate under the Lloyd's system. The Lloyd's system has a thing called names, right?
Right.
So you are a name for an underwriter. An underwriter is a company that underwrites Lloyd's. Okay, so Lloyd's of London sits
the
there.
Famed insurance company, yes.
In Fleet Street, and somebody from Blue Osiris comes in and says, I have a $15 billion satellite that I'd like you to insure, please, because they tend to get launched and blow up. They tend to get launched and not send signals back. They tend to get launched and crash into Mars. I'd like you to insure it. And Lloyd's goes, we will do that for you, because Lloyd's will insure fucking anything.
That's their thing, isn't it? There's always those jokes about a movie star having her legs insured, and Lloyd's as a publicity stunt, but it was a real insurance policy. They go, yes, Betty Grable's legs are now insured, so if something happens to them and they're not marketable anymore, we'll pay her $1 million. It was done as a publicity stunt, but it was a real insurance policy.
And the very next thing that happened was a lot of other stars started to insure their faces, started to insure their bodies, started to insure fucking the sports industry insures its stars' legs.
Yes.
And they insured David Beckham's legs for £50 million.
Yeah, they would have.
And when you actually look into the policy, apparently it basically goes anything injurious to his career while he's got one, and he'll have one till he's like 45. We pay out the team and him the 50 million quid.
Yeah.
But he's very good to himself, and Lloyd's took on the risk. They also popped in a sneaky little life insurance policy on him, on his wife. There's a sneaky little fucking kidnap clause for his kids. and an instant must do set of actions. They must call the cops. They must call the security company that Lloyd's has on retainer. Can you imagine the security company that Lloyd's would have on retainer?
Oh, yeah. And
Fuck.
the Beckhams have one of those military-grade BMWs, like that can stop an RPG.
Yeah.
Can actually run over a landmine and keep, let alone dry flat tires. It can run over a landmine and keep going.
Lloyd's set up their security, and their security said, "You need this, you need this, you need this." No, we don't fucking need that. It's ridiculous. Who's going to do that? And then they ran off a list of people who'd been fucked up by really jealous, nasty people over the years. We're going to get you a car. We're going to get you this. We're going to get you that. He said, if you were the royal family, you would have no idea. The royal family can't fucking move without their bodyguards clearing sections of area.
I mean, they still take a lot of risks with those public appearances, but
they do. But at the same time,
but transport to and from are your vulnerable points often.
Yes. And,
ask Lord Mountbatten how good are boats. I shouldn't laugh.
Oh yeah, how the fuck would you be? Oh, we're going for fishing tomorrow, and it'll be good. We just take the runabout out to the clay pots, to the lobster pots, and see how we go. It's just a putt out there and a putt bang.
Yeah, it's like, have you been like fucking over the Irish for a couple of decades? Maybe take your security seriously, because there's
at the same time, you know what made me think this through, and I got talking to somebody about this, was they said the IRA's most stupid mistake was to blow up the Mountbattens, because the British sent in the SAS en masse, and the provisional IRA disappeared within 10 years. They were nothing anymore. They were gone. And they weren't fucking arrested. There was no arrests.
Yes, it was disappearing.
There's a lot of disappeared. There's still a wall up in Dublin. Is it Dublin? There's a wall up?
Belfast, maybe.
Belfast? Yeah.
Well, Dublin's in the Republic, so it's hunky-dory.
Oh, okay, sorry.
The north is the only place where...
Yeah, it'll be Belfast then. An area that they're fighting over is the size of a fucking postage stamp. It just makes me cry. But yeah, blowing up Mountbatten was an invitation to please kick fuck out of me. And they applied.
They didn't even get in as much trouble for trying to blow up Thatcher as choking on ashes, going, "Oh, pity the Brighton bomb wasn't more successful." But again, their couple of near misses taking their shot at Thatcher in Brighton and destroying half a hotel, and she somehow got out of it. And during the first Gulf War, when the entire cabinet were in the war room, the IRA fucking mortared. They just went, "Oh, all those Tory fucks are in one spot." And from a couple blocks away, they mortared the building. It's just like several $1 million worth of anti-terrorism structural defenses held up. Like, apparently, besides just being strong, there was all this net that was to stop if falling debris and shit. And it's just like, they bombed the fuck out of that building and didn't kill.
It worked.
Yeah. The IRA's near misses blow my fucking mind, because it really
the cabinet, apparently John Major, and everyone who thinks John Major's a bit of a joke, but apparently John Major, because they all got taught hit the deck and go onto the desk because it's oak.
It's a big heavy deck. Yeah.
So they hit the deck. Apparently the rubble stopped clattering down on the desk and said, "Well, righto, gentlemen, let's find a new room and resume."
Yeah,
and they did. They fucking moved straight along with the
Yeah.
agenda. No fucking around. And apparently the rest of the cabinet said, because they're all fairly freaked, right? But apparently they said the Prime Minister just went, right, we're good. Let's keep
Let's
being
go.
good.
Yeah.
They went, okay, yes, that's right. We're the government. I forgot that. We're the people with the actual army now. And the Met moved fairly quickly. So did the SAS.
They didn't get anyone, I don't think.
Hey?
I don't think they got anyone.
I
don't. But anyway, choking on ashes. Rest assured, you're our vintage. You're remembering it as well. Yes, they did kill someone in Brighton, whether that was Norman Tebbett's wife or someone. I know. I thought there was actually more than one fatality in the Brighton bombing. I'm not sure. And the other one was one of Thatcher's early advisors, like her mentor, who was another one who had the portfolio to fuck over Ireland. And so apparently she'd had a meeting with him. And then they went cheery bye, and he got in his car and drove off, and it got about 10 meters down the road and then just went while she was watching. And it was like, oh, and that was her mentor, that which is kind of explains why she was so psychotic towards Ireland.
but all of Britain lost any kind of sympathy to the IRA, the Provo IRA, when they started hitting civilians. That was when the big one, the one that really, and they lost a lot of pull at home when they started to do the 2-bomb trick. So the 2-bomb trick is you set off a bomb in a crowded area.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, bang, off goes a car. And then the crowd goes, fuck, there's a bomb, and they run away from the car.
Yeah.
And it's always in an enclosed-ish space, like a mall or a street or something.
Yeah.
And down the other end of the street, you have a fucking huge bomb. And then you let it go off when they're all assembled down that end.
Yeah.
And it damaged a lot of fucking people, killed a lot of people. And they were doing that all over the place. And that was in the days when they had American money and Palestinian weapons. And they could do anything they wanted, but the tactics weren't cleverly strategically thought out. They were so keen on winning the war that they forgot about winning the peace, and they lost the fucking will of the people. So the reunion died.
Although Sinn Féin does very well in parliamentary elections these days, and they're moving it towards reunification.
Exactly, Sinn Féin fucking caught the ball and went, we are now no longer associated with the Provos in any way, shape, or form. And everyone said, well, fuck, of course you'd say that, but it actually was real. They actually did. They said, you fucked up too much. It's too much.
Yeah.
You're out. You're gone. We're now just a political party, and that's all. And
then you got all the splinter groups as well, the people of varying degrees of anger. So it became, Monty Python with the Judean People's Front. So many splinter groups in the end.
Useful. And then Sinn Féin cleverly turned around to the Catholic Church and said, you know what? You could reach out to the Proddies as a church and fucking make some fucking headway here, because one of their main rivals was fucking, I can never remember his name. He was the red-faced fucking Reverend Terror.
Paisley, Ian Paisley. He was a psychopath.
Hell, psycho. every time he's opened his mouth, it was all fucking hellfire and brimstone. And he really fucking fomented a lot of trouble, that guy. And so the churches finally pulled their heads out of their ass and said, we could actually be doing a lot more to stop people getting killed here. And they did. And they had the first sit down. The churches had the first sit down and said, this is not how we should be running this, is it? Because there's not going to be no Protestants and there's not going to be no Catholics, and that's not ever going to be. There's always going to be Protestants and Catholics. It's always going to be.
Yes.
And, you know, once we did used to live together, and we could again, and they started in the pulpits going, stop fucking killing people. And then the membership of the more violent factions died in the arse. Bosses were told in confessional booths by their priests, if you are a hirer of men who murder people, then you're just as guilty and you'll need to do penance for that. And apparently that fucking sent a message. Protestant clergy would not shop at certain shops. And the message was fucking very clear.
Yeah, absolutely.
I won't play with you because you're a murderer. Nothing was said. And so then it started socially to change, and they had to change the game. There's still splinter groups around today that are very dangerous individuals, but the American money stopped as well. And that was one of the only things that Reagan did right. Because Gaddafi was creaming profit off the top of the IRA, with the weapons coming across, he had a fucking chat, back channels to the Irish and to the fucking Palestinian boat captains that were taking things across, and said, I'll tell you how it's going to be. If you keep doing this, I'll bomb you in the fucking Stone Age. Then he went over and kicked the crap out of Libya, and everyone said he might bomb us into the Stone Age because he's that kind of guy. And so the money from America stopped, and it's hard to run a guerrilla war without money. You know,
the amazing thing to me is the money from America was coming from conservatives. The conservatives were the ones, because they had just decided it's the most American thing you can do is hate the British. Yeah. And a lot of our ancestors were Irish refugees. It blew my mind that the biggest supporters and people sending money and guns to the IRA were Republicans.
Yeah. Yeah. And you'd think, really? But no, if you really, really dig into it a little bit, it sort of makes sense. But then they got shown that they were also playing with the big thing was Gaddafi. When Gaddafi was shown to be balls deep in the IRA, all of a sudden the American money stopped, and very difficult to run a guerrilla war without money. Fucking Fidel Castro. You know what amazes me? That no one asks where did he get his money from? Fucking it amazes me because you know, they said, they threw out the fucking government that was fucking mob backed, right? Well, who's against the mob? Other mob. Guess what? You know, there's always another family willing to get rid of that family. And sure enough, you know, Havana changed its stripes, but they were just different colors. And, you know, fucking, I don't know. And of course the United States fucking also had to pull his head in because it fucking money was going to sympathetic groups that were trying to get rid of Castro, and they found out they were refunneling toward Castro. So same thing with fucking, it was the same shit with fucking Afghanistan. Money was going to fight the good fight, and then all of a sudden was ending up back in New York in heroin. Whoops.
Yes, they tend to make a few tactical mistakes like that, really. When you're blinded by ideology, you make really dumb mistakes.
Why is it so hard to get rid of these fucking insurgents? Because we trained them.
So my favorite joke was when, going Bush's Iraq invasion, we're going to find the WMDs. My favorite joke going, because like Tony Blair was saying, oh, the intel's definitely real. And my favorite joke is people going, you know why they're so sure that WMDs are there? They kept the receipts. And it's just like...
Well, fucking Colin Powell was asked, why do you know that they've got anthrax? And he said, well, because we sold it to them in a fucking congressional hearing, straight up. And they went, okay, well, that's why they've got anthrax. And he was... he was straight up about saying we gave him a shitload of anthrax to throw at Iranians, and now they've got a shitload of anthrax.
Oh God, I've just seen Safa guessing that neither of us were alive during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Dude, I'm old. I'm not that fucking old.
I wasn't alive during the Cuban Missile Crisis, Safa.
I do remember one of my high school teachers saying she was a little girl during the Cuban Missile Crisis, and she didn't really know what was going on, just that her mother was watching the TV and crying because her mother was convinced they were all going to fucking die at any moment.
Well, the world was.
Yeah. So that's cheerful. And that's probably the closest we came. There was a lot of...
Also, too, it was the first time Australia had to sit down and work out if it was a target or not, because Australia was so comfortable in its isolation at that point. At that point, after the Second World War, we had this influx of immigrants who had had enough of hatred and had enough of being shot at and had enough of being hated for the shape of their dick. And they came to Australia, and all of a sudden everyone agreed, oh, you're German? Yes. You're Jewish? Yes. Do we want to talk about the no? Okay. Do we just want to get on with the yes?
Don't mention
and that's the rules in Australia now. And this is all of the Muslims, especially the Arabian Muslims that come here, say Australia is the land of milk and honey, because you get here and there's no factions, and it doesn't matter anymore. And it doesn't matter what you wear on your head. No one cares. And if you want to fucking start that up, you get a visit from the police and the immigration saying, don't be starting that up. This is your last.
Person who will have ratted you out to the police and immigration is someone from the community who's not a fucking dickhead. You mouthed off because you thought you could mouth off, and they've just gone, oh, look at Jimmy gonna fuck it up for everyone. Okay. Yeah. Hello. You know who you want to talk to?
Yeah, that's actually right. The fucking, the next thing, the police are sitting in your fucking front room playing with your kids. Here you go. Yeah. And there's a couple of guys in suits from immigration going, here's how it's going to go.
Yeah. Because we've had real fucking assholes be headed off, be caught. They had actual plans for mayhem. And they were, unlike in the US where virtually every story you heard is fucking bullshit. The people who've been arrested here were bad people who were going to do bad things. And for all the conservatives go, yeah, I'd hate to break it to you, our cops aren't super geniuses. Someone gave them
They work well.
Yeah, they work hard, but they're not super geniuses. They didn't intuit who the bad guy was.
They don't have a police state. They don't have everything wired, okay?
Someone gave them a call and said, you know who you want to look at?
Really? I'll check this out. We will take this very seriously, and they do.
Yeah, it's like if Andrew Bolt calls you and says, go and bust this mosque, you go, Bolt, you're an idiot, fuck off. If the imam calls you and goes, there's a guy you need to talk to.
Well, there's a guy in my street who fucking, his kids came home and they were covered in diesel. You know, what the fuck are you covered in diesel for, you silly prick? Why have you got diesel on? We run taxis.
Yes.
Go and get a shower. Where'd you get the diesel from? Oh, from the big tank in blah blah's yard. What? So he's gone for a little walk and a wander. He's looked over the fence, big tank of diesel, and he's gone for a look at the open shed, big fucking pallet of fertilizer, and he's gone, oh no. And he's gone over and knocked on his door and said, listen, I know you've got passions. I've seen you down the mosque talking to the boys. I'm going to give you a day to fucking maybe get rid of the diesel and the fertilizer, the AMFO, and we won't say anything more about it. All right, because I like my small business. I like that my kids go to school, and that the only thing that they've got to worry about is who they're going to root when they get old enough. That's all they've got to worry about, because they know how to work. They've got a business to go into. You know, if they play their cards right in Australia, they're going to get old, fat and happy. And you know what? I want to get old, fat and happy. And I don't care what language it is. Have you noticed that they haven't tried to change any of our religion at all? On any sect, on any level, they don't care. Have you noticed that they haven't interfered with any of that? I just thought I'd point that out. So that's what I want. You think about it and I'll see you later. And sure enough, he had a little wander over and nothing to change. So he dropped a coin. And he said to the coppers, what do you want me to do? And the copper said, nothing. Do nothing. Say nothing. Everything's the same as it always is. Do nothing at mosque. Say nothing to anyone at mosque. And he said, oh, but I worry about the guys. He said, don't worry about the guys at mosque, especially at mosque. Don't worry about those guys. And he said it took him a while to figure out that the imam had dropped a coin, that a couple of the other guys had dropped a coin, and the cops had gone, fucking this guy is upsetting the mosque. Is the Ummah. And they apparently went round to his place while everyone was out, and in 20 minutes they wired the place for lights and sound, and just started collecting recordings for months and months and months. And about 3 weeks before they were ready to go, they moved in and arrested 28 of them. 24 of them will never get out of prison, and 2 of them will get out after 25 years. So the 2 that are going to get out will be 65 and 70 when they get out. And the others are never going to get out. And they're all in solitary confinement each. Because they can't be put in general population because the gen pop will kill them. And you know, that's your good old Aussie boys will do that, but your Muslim boys will fucking move in real quick and hurt them real bad. And that's been made known all over Australia. If you're an actual convicted terrorist in Australia, the Muslim boys will fuck your shit right up.
Because I'm in here for drugs and robbing, good honest crimes. Okay, all I did was fuck my life up. You're fucking everyone.
You're fucking everything up for everyone. And so, you know, Australia at the end of the Second World War was that place that everyone ran to get away from all the shit. And then the fucking Cuban Missile Crisis came, and then all of a sudden Australia had to turn around and go, well, they wouldn't throw bombs at us. And then they sat around and said, well, we've got a nuclear aircraft carrier. We've got fucking several satellite listening stations. We've got fucking most of the South. Well, we've got all of the South Pacific communications gear from NATO running through Australia and puddling out that way. And we are the direct military route to Antarctica and the Southern Ocean.
Yeah.
So yes,
very important from the point of view of ports and communication. I do remember seeing a really funny comic once. It's by an American. Might have been Ron Cobb. I don't remember, but he's basically like, he learned about Pine Gap in Australia, and he's got this picture of like some tourists with their cameras and the sign saying they're in Pine Gap, and this guy saying to his wife, "Honey, I tell you, I can hear country music." And in the bunker underground, there's this American with nukes and communications arrays.
I can hear country music.
It's just loved it. It was
yeah.
I noticed Safa said, "Oh, but what about, when we were saying we're not a police state? What about Dutton and the family he imprisons?" And no, that's different. That's racism. We're racist out the wazoo. And Dutton would like it to be a police state. He absolutely would. And he lies repeatedly about what he needs in terms of surveillance and whatnot. Dutton would love if we were all under constant surveillance because he's a fucking piece of shit. But yeah.
We're not a police state.
No.
I just got a letter from the council today saying, "Dickhead, you forgot to vote in the council election. What are we going to do?" I didn't get a visit from a policeman going, "Why didn't you vote for the party in the election?"
Yeah.
Difference.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the Darebin City Council knows that I'm a pensioner, and they know that I'm going to pay my fine. Never. I'm going to pay it off at $5 a fortnight for the next 60 years. They know that. And they also know from looking at the records that I've pretty much voted in every election I possibly could have. I just didn't vote in this one because I was fucking sick as a dog.
So you just come out of hospital.
I might even go to the hospital and say, "Look, can you say I got brain damage because I did, and I just fucked up?" And they probably go, "Yeah, we'll do that." And effectively, that's not a police state. The Australian government knows where all my money is all the time because of my tax file number. That's when the tax file number came in, everyone when the Medicare card came in, everyone freaked out because they said, "Oh, it's a de facto ID card.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's going to be, they're going to track us through it." And it's like, yeah, probably. But no, guys, it's your tax file number.
But Hawkeye tried to bring in the Australia card. Do you remember the Australia card?
I do.
That was an ID card that it would have been mandatory to carry on at all times. Like it could be demanded things. And that got shouted down because it was all sort of police statey and whatnot. And then they introduced the tax file number so you couldn't work multiple jobs. The tax file number was the Australia card by stealth.
Oh, not even by stealth. It was by fist. It was basically, we're doing this. And because the tax office had enough of, back in those days, they had a thing called the bottom of the harbour tax scheme.
Oh, that was a big one, yeah.
So much Australian medium to large business was basically throwing away all of their tax liability just through crime, through fraud. And the tax office had enough. They'd just gone, well, apparently you can't pay any tax, but you can buy 3 helicopters.
Yes, it was no tax, but an inexplicable amount of assets. Yeah,
it's just too much, and people like Kerry Packer, who was the richest man in Australia at one point, was actually complaining that my secretary pays more tax than I do. Something's really wrong here.
But he didn't believe he should pay any tax. Like when it came out that he paid a couple $100 income tax one year, just because on paper he had no income. He was just using company assets all the time. He's just going, oh, it's a couple $100 too much in my book. I should fucking, fuck the government. I'm making them money. They shouldn't take any more.
Why is my secretary paying all this tax and I'm paying fuck all? She be paying nothing. And the dichotomy between personal income tax and company tax in Australia has always been problematic. It has always been a fucking dog's breakfast, and has needed reform for a billion years. But it is the third rail of Australian politics because it goes very much to the divided society that Malcolm Fraser set up, the pluses and the minuses. And if you delve into that tax reform too much, you will find very quickly that a lot of Australia is getting ripped off out through the arse.
Oh, yeah.
The introduction of the GST was at once the best and the worst thing ever to happen. Because the Conservatives got their wish that the oiks had to pay tax, and the states actually got money for a change. Swings and roundabouts. I had an argument with my brother, and he was saying, as a taxpayer, blah, blah, blah. And I said to him, since the GST, everybody's a taxpayer. That's it. It's the end of it. I don't listen to I'm a taxpayer arguments anymore because there's GST.
Everyone's a taxpayer. Yeah.
Everybody's a taxpayer. That's it.
Yeah. And for the person who asked, the tax file number was introduced in 1988. I looked it up. And it's changed over the years. Its use has expanded since first, but it brought in mid 80s, they were trying to do, like Hawkey was trying to do the Australia card. That got shouted down. And by 88, they introduced the tax file number.
And now the tax file number is linked to everything. It's linked to your bank
Can't get
account.
a job without it. Can't get a bank account without it. Can't get welfare payments without it. Basically, you cannot have money without a tax file number.
Well, it's actually linked to your citizenship.
Yeah.
And if you want to be a permanent resident, you get a tax file number. And if you are a citizen, you get a tax file number. And the first job you get your tax file number with it. And it's easy to find out what your tax file number is because it never changes and it stays with you. It's funny, folks in the United States know their social security number, which is their TFN, and they don't realise that. Blows my mind because the social security number is linked to everything over in the US.
Yes.
But they don't see that as a problem. I don't.
Well, some of them do, but yeah.
All right. Anyway,
but you're right. Generally, you're generally right.
But here, you don't remember your tax file number. You can look it up, and people can tell it to you. And as long as you answer questions only you know over the phone, they'll tell it to you.
Yeah.
And it is questions only you'd know. These days, they even ask you a couple of secret questions. Like they do in the bank sometimes. What's your porn star name? Which is one of my secret questions. What's the color of the sky? So I know the questions. What's your mother's maiden name? One of the questions my tax file once, I needed it for something dodgy. And they weren't real. They were a bit sketchy because they hadn't heard from me for a while because I'd been unemployed for a long time. And they went, And so they asked me lots of questions. And one of them was, what's your mother's star sign. And I went, what it was? And I went, what do you want to know that for? And they said, well, that's pretty deep for you to know straight off the top of your head, so we're happy now.
Yeah.
And, okay. Because they've got all this info in front of them and all laid out. And if I'd have had to cast around trying to work out the star sign of my mother's birthday, you know, that would have been a bit of a flag. Wouldn't have been a red flag, but it would have been a yellow flag, and they would have kept on asking questions and questions and questions. They asked me, one of the questions they asked me was, where did I go to primary school? And I told them. And they said, oh, that's in suburb Canberra. And I said, no, it's in suburb Canberra. And they said, nice one. And I thought, oh, okay, there you go. Got me again.
Yeah.
And yeah, they were fairly thorough, but they were happy to give it to me. It was because I wanted my birth certificate as well. I wanted both of them, and that's a lot of points of ID right there. Because I was going for my passport, and I needed, blah and blah and blah, and that I wanted a lot of ID all at once, and back in those days, data theft wasn't so much an online thing as a espionage thing or a bank fraud thing. But with a good legend, you could set up a spy or a really decent bank fraud, and you could really go for it. So, give me 2 seconds, and I'll be back.
Yeah, that's okay. You do the necessary. Yeah, I'm just looking at everyone else discussing the nature of tax file numbers and whatever. I actually did a little bit of looking up just then on tax file numbers. You can get a tax file number at any age. The funny thing is they get out of jail for people saying, oh, it's a horrible intrusion on personal liberties. You do not have to have a tax file number. It's just that you will be taxed the maximum tax rate on any job if you don't provide a tax file number. So your employer must automatically extract the maximum tax. So if you declare a tax file number, then you get the correct tax taken out. And when you apply for a tax file number, if you're over 16, you have to sign and say, this is for me. If you're 13 to 16, it's optional. You or your parents can sign for it. And if you're 12 or under, your parents have to sign for. And that's it. You get your tax file number. That's your tax file number for life. That's you for the rest of your existence. Yes, Harry, you have to get a tax file number for Centrelink, or they will tax you as if you just said, I am earning $1 million per annum.
You lose literally half of it.
Yeah.
You lose literally half of it.
That was their get around the libertarian types saying, you can't force me to do it. Cool. I won't force you to. I will just tax you at the highest rate if you don't provide a tax file number. So that's your choice. Yes.
And you still don't have to have a tax file number to have a job, but they will tax
but
you
you'll be taxed at the maximum rate.
5%.
That's not the maximum tax rate in it. That were when we were young, that was the highest tax rate. Maximum tax rate in Australia is 45% now. So you'll lose half. You
lose half.
You'll lose half. If you don't provide a tax file number for a job, you'll lose half your money.
You know, I saw an interesting thing once. So I was talking to a tradie, and tax time was coming up, and a lot of these tradies were like, "Oh, mumble, fuck tax," And he's going, these fucking idiots, I don't know what's wrong with them. And he said, I put half of everything I earn in my tax account. Everything goes in there. And at tax time, I take my books and my receipts to my accountant. I basically get them to crunch down the bill. I send it in. They send me the bill. I send them the money. I roll the tax account back over into itself. And he said within 7 years, I won't be paying tax. My tax account will be making the interest on itself to pay tax. It'll be so big that my tax account will simply roll over and pay tax all the time. And he was fucking right. His tax account was paying all his tax for him. And it was just like, what? And because we were going, but you're making so much more money. And he said, yes, but so's my account making so much more money. Because there's more going in, and it's building on itself in interest. And he said, that's the thing that kills me, is if I put all of this away, the interest on it alone pays for something like 15% of the tax. That's just the interest. I didn't buy that. I didn't have to put that in there. And then after a while, it becomes virtually a trust fund for the tax office. And everyone loves him. He doesn't get hassled around tax time. His accountant loves the shit out of him. Because so many accountants are fucking pulling their hair out going, Christ, how are we going to do this? And he goes, I just pay him and fucking get it back off him later. I don't give a fuck. Tax office loves it because they get everything neat and it's done. They don't have to probe him. They don't have to look at him. They don't have to worry about him. And then when he jumps from business to business to business to developer to multi-fucking billions of dollars, they go, oh, yeah, it's him. He'll be right.
Oh, and good evening, Stella, and good evening, Shannon, by the way.
We're
talking about the tax rates. I looked them up to 18,200, no tax, well, GST on most things you buy, so 10% basically. 18,000 to 37,000 is 19 cents for every dollar over 18,000. 37 to 87 is the tax you paid on that previous amount, which is $3,500 plus 32.5 cents for each dollar over 37,000. 87 to 180,000 is $20,000 plus 37 cents for each dollar over 87,000. And the top rate is 180,000 and over, which is $54,000 plus 45 cents for each dollar. And that's what you'll be taxed as if you don't give him your tax. That 45 cents on the dollar is what you'll be taxed at if you don't give him your tax file number.
And if the thing that people don't get, though, is that the second that you buy something for your cost of business, for your running of your employee, you claim it. And,
I do that as a contractor.
You know, you fucking get monstrous fucking discounts.
So
you don't get it all back. You don't. You will be paying a bill. There's no question.
To explain the difference, because I work in IT. I'm my own company. I contract under my own company. If I was an employee, and because contractors get paid more on paper than employees, but employees get holidays and sick pay and super and all that sort of shit. So there is still a premium at the end of the day. But the big difference is not the dollars on what they, although there is a difference in the dollars they're paying you. The big difference is if you are an employee, the government takes tax out before you ever see your money. and then you do a tax return and wonder if you'll get anything back. As a company, I get all the money that I contracted for. I turn everything possible into a business expense and take all of that off the taxable income. So I reduce the taxable income down, and then the government taxes me on that after the fact, not before the fact, after the fact, and I give them that cut. So that's where the real big advantage in being a contractor or a company is. Yes, on paper I get paid more, but that gets whittled way down, not having sick pay, not having holiday pay, and all that sort of shit. But where I really make it back is that tax thing. An employee, government takes tax before you ever see it. Me, I spend as much as I can and say it's a business expense. And, I've got an accountant to make sure only legal stuff gets done.
I was going to say, fucking the two things when you're your own boss, the two things that are not fucking frivolous are a bookkeeper and a fucking accountant. Fucking find and get them.
Yes, because they're worth it.
Pay them their money.
Yeah, no, I pay my accountant thousands of dollars a year without blinking because he saves me tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, worth it.
Yeah,
every time.
It saves me the stress as well. Like, say, okay, here's my bank account and stuff. Process it and tell me how much I have to pay. It's saving me that grief as well. So it's like, dang. But yeah, and so there's that as well. Like when I say like, I make out like a bandit doing that, I'm paying a chunk of that to an account. And that was also a thing Kerry Packer said, which is not entirely false. It is mostly false in his case. But he would say like, yeah, but the reason I'm not paying income tax is I am actually paying a couple of $1 million to accountants and lawyers. And so I am paying money and they pay tax and whatnot. So it's not quite, It was mostly false, but there was an element of truth in it. It's like, yeah, I'm not paying income tax, but I am paying out literally millions of dollars to accountants and lawyers, so I don't pay income tax.
The philosophy of money flow through my actions is a nice one, but the thing is, I've got that same philosophy as a pensioner. As a pensioner, I spend 100% of my income propping up local business.
Yes, absolutely.
And I am more valuable to the Australian economy than most people of upper middle class tax brackets because they buy imported cars.
Yeah.
They buy imported electronics. I buy primary goods. I buy local business rent. That's actually where most of my money goes, on local business rent. I buy local products, and 100% of my income goes on local products. And all of it goes on local products. So I don't get to have savings. Fucking boss of the house does.
Yeah. But you get like Scotty from marketing on his bullshits going, oh, the economy's in trouble. I should give rich people tax breaks and fuck the poor. It's like, no, you stupid cunt. You give rich people tax breaks. They funnel it all into offshore tax havens. You give poor people support. It all goes straight back into the economy. You fucking munter.
I mean, this fucking trickle-down bullshit that they keep on with, that they think that people believe in still. You know, when they went, we've got to not pay fucking entitlements to wait staff because we can't afford it. Like half of fucking the Labor Party and half of Australia said, well, don't fucking open. The other half basically went, well, you hire fucking backpackers from overseas under the table in cash anyway. So it's not like you're paying anything anyway. And all they wanted to do, and then they said more jobs would happen if you give us this money. And it's like bullshit. It'll go straight in their pocket.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
now that they've done it, where did the money go? Straight in their pocket.
Yeah.
And I'm stunned that they lied to us.
Took you completely by surprise?
I've never worked for a commercial kitchen that had skiving liars as fucking owners, especially when they were bought out. Oh,
yeah.
Some of these motherfuckers who buy out fucking commercial kitchens. It's like real estate agent. That feeling you get, it's like I'll never be clean again.
Yeah.
Did I tell you the story of we had an insane tenant?
Oh, in your place?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we she used to whisper things at people's doors and stuff. Yeah.
Well,
and
one night she confronted both of the real estate agents and the landlords.
Yeah.
Landlords happened to be Asian, and the first thing she did was she fired the real estate agents for not getting these fuckers to pay their rent. And she called the female real estate agent a word that she didn't appreciate, and the male real estate agent had to fucking get in front of her. You know how real estate agents either come through uni or they come up through the West? She came up through the West. And she was used to what you have to do in the playground to stake your claim. And she was ready to stake a claim. And the male real estate agent just popped his shoulder in front of her, going, no. And then she went to the Asian landlords and said, and you guys don't want to see you renting here anymore. You don't get to clean here anymore. We don't want you to bring this friggin' Chinga virus with you. And the older landlord, who used to be the landlord, and he gave it to his daughter, had a wan smile on his face, and he put his shoulder in front of his daughter because I had never seen her so angry in my life. I thought, she'll kill her. I looked at the male real estate agent and the older landlord, and they're looking at me going, are you ready to jump on these people? I'm going, yeah. They were like, oh, well, you're fucking gone, bitch. And there was nothing mistaken what was going in their heads. And I was just going, you've just bagged out the landlord and the real estate agent in the same breath. That is spectacular. How did you expect to survive that?
Yeah.
And it was the quickest eviction in Victorian history during the COVID crisis. Brilliant. It was brilliant. It was just genius. 6 weeks, done, over, finished.
Yeah.
And because it takes months to evict someone. It takes months. 6 months is standard to evict someone. But 6 weeks later, she was gone. I tell you what, though, damaged the house. Half the people fucking up and left the house and didn't come back.
She was that bad.
She's that bad.
Yeah.
And then COVID hit, and a lot of the international students who have leases on the place weren't allowed back in the country. And they couldn't
that's ruined
get
them.
rid of them because they still had a lease, but they couldn't get a hold of them, and they couldn't get any money out of them because the Chinese weren't allowing any money to come from China to Australia.
Yeah.
And it was, put it this way, no one's real happy in fucking real estate land right now.
I bet not.
Because this isn't just us. Think of this as all over.
Yes. Melbourne's apparently been, the rental market has apparently been hit harder than anywhere else. And I don't know why, but they're all saying there's just massive rental vacancies and rents are actually going down in Melbourne.
Yes.
Anyway, hello, Abigail, by the way. And I did also want to say the turkey who's saying, missed you guys, and Kev Logan, being busy and messed up during COVID. Dude, tell me about it. I have not been doing pre-recorded videos on the Angry Aussie channel since fucking April or something because everything's too weird. We've just been doing these live streams as a form of therapy, essentially, for us and others, actually. But it's the only thing that's sort of felt sane, was just doing these things and just being able to talk to people and giving people a platform to talk. So,
and did we actually say what we were going to do? Were we thinking of spicing things up by getting my old man on?
We did briefly mention that he might come on to try and defend himself against the heinous slurs and slanders that you've leveled at him over.
I'm sure he could generate a few more while he was here, though.
He probably inadvertently would, quite honestly. Yes.
We'll take him through a crash course of you've got to listen to the moderator and you're not allowed to attack people personally.
Oh, and do you know how Trump complained he wouldn't let someone mute him? I'll do that with no hesitation.
Well, I said that people get sin bin here all the time, including me. You get your microphone cut off, and it's like,
yes, and I'm pretty ruthless on that front, but
that's right, and I will laugh.
And
also too, fucking, when you've got Asian family, time limits. Good.
Yes, that would be a fun one to introduce.
Time limits are good for me.
Yeah, we found that to be fun.
In 2 minutes, and then you've got to stop. I was good at that. The first time we did that formally, I was good at it. I stopped during 2 minutes.
Yeah, very good. Oh, Chris thinks he must be good because I've never muted him. Honestly, people who I allow in the chat, I almost never mute. It's more people, when I say chat, on cam. In the text chat, it's more likely that I'll just decide someone's a munter and I'll boot them. If I'm feeling charitable, I give them the timeout and see if they get the message. And if they don't get the message, it's like, you think I won't just block you? I don't fucking care. Bye. Yeah. Oh, Kirsten's saying her old apartment in Melbourne is being advertised for $150 less than they were paying. So that's what I'm hearing, that rent is coming down. I mean, I've been in the same place for 3 years.
Well, I'm going to formally go for a rent decrease soon.
You probably should, yeah.
Because it's been tough. And I've had to pay a whole bunch of extra stuff to COVID, and my landlord, my real estate's not happy about it. This house is very quiet right now.
I bet it is.
Pretty much everyone said they were going at the end of Crazy Bitch, but a lot of them stayed, and a lot of the guys here, because they're all students apparently, but a lot of them work hospitality, and of course all hospitality shut down. And I was talking to one guy who was losing his fucking mind because he was an international, and he said, I can't go anywhere. They won't let me out of the state. I can't go home, and I can't. My job's gone.
Yeah.
And he worked at a local, very famous cafe in the mall, actually. Very good cafe in the mall. And he was very well liked. And their bosses said to them, as soon as we can, we will call you and get you back to work. But you don't have any work. We are not open. You know that. So there is no work. And they all went, they're not going to fucking call us. They're fucking, they're just going to fucking, advertise and get their mates in. And they didn't. They called everyone back. They fucking called everyone back and said, okay, there's a job coming up. Your job's coming back open. Come in on Monday if you want it. And fucking almost everyone came home. and they hired new people. They've been busy. Wow, have they been busy? I've been going there at lunchtime to get a cuppa or an iced chocolate, and they've had reserved tables on the outside, and it's like, ooh, okay. Fucking that first Saturday when Melbourne opened up again, Jesus, it was packed. The cafe and restaurants were packed.
Yep.
Everyone. And there were lines out the fucking door to get a seat somewhere because everybody wanted out of their house.
Yes.
Boss of the house has left at the moment, and I think he's gone for a bike ride. So Christ knows where he is. But you get that. Got to get him to be more affectionate to me. Should I hang signs on him?
Yeah, that might work.
Should I hang signs on me? I don't want to hassle him too much because it's exam weeks. This is also why it's quiet around the house. It's just exam weeks, and everyone's studying like fucking mad to try and pass their exams.
Yeah.
As soon as exams weeks are over, it's going to be even quieter in the house because they all fuck off for Christmas. And I am trying to work out if we've got enough money to get a plane ticket to Canberra, and if we're going to be allowed to go to Canberra.
Yeah,
it's a bit of a gamble. If flights are expensive, but they're not that bad right now. There's no Virgin anymore. It's kind of so. If I can organise it, we're meant to go to Canberra this Christmas, and I'm finding it difficult to encourage boss of the house to pick up the tab because he's a tight ass. I can say all these things about him because he's not here. And if I can just get him to comply, then that'll be good because then we won't be out of kilter. And if we get out of kilter, that'll mean that the Melbourne families get more bite of the cherry than the Canberra families.
Yeah.
And that's going to cause me a lot of aggro. And that's not something I want to get involved in. Since I've just come out of a period of aggro that's been crazy, I got ripped off by a friend, and the rip-off continues. And it's caused ructions.
Right.
Ructions. Very nearly breakup of relationship ructions. Bad. And so things are looking better, but I've got to do a lot of stuff and amass a lot of cash before Christmas. So I've worked out a way to do it, but it's just going to put me in hock for a while. You can get an advance on your pension, but you've got to pay it back. So I reckon if I can get 2 more advances, I might just solve the problems I've got. So we'll see how we go.
Well, he's hoping, buddy. He's hoping.
What's going on in the world of the angry this coming few days? Because I've got a brain test tomorrow.
Nice. They're going to find one?
Tomorrow, I might be able to come on and say I am officially more retarded than I was yesterday. So what they do is they put electrodes in your head and they put them on your arms and legs and they zap you. And it's called a nerve conduction test. And my nerve conduction test proved that I had 25% brain damage. Awkward. And the x-rays and scans showed that my cerebellum had shrank. And yeah, they're going to do pretty much the same lot tomorrow. So I've got to get up nice and early because my carer is going to drive me around.
Okay.
And depending on how that all goes, they might take me back into hospital and do things at me. I don't think they will, because I don't see how that's going to do anything. And I think that they're effectively going to go, oh, you're effectively this fucked and that's all you get. You know? Like what they've done for the last 30 years. You're for a given value of good, you're good. And so, but we'll know more tomorrow. I've got to pay various different people. My psychiatrist being one of them. He's getting a little bit fucking antsy because I owe him 2 visits now. That gets expensive.
Oh dear.
And but you get a bit back on Medicare, so that's okay. But I finally organised it so that the rent gets paid directly, and it was hard to do. You can do it through Centrelink, and they will do it really efficiently, but the way that the rent is paid, they don't accept it. So you've got to go ask about and go round and about and jump through hoops. But I jumped through the hoops, and so finally they're going to be sitting pretty. And every time they send me a little, they send you these SMSs every day that you're late on your rent, and they say you're 2 days late, and you're 2 days in arrears. You're 3 days late in arrears. You're 4 days in arrears. You're 7 days in arrears. And they just keep on going. And every day you're getting these SMSs. And the emails are great. They're funny. The first email is, "Oh, you might have forgotten in the rush of the day, but your rent is due." And then the next week is, your rent is now a week late. Perhaps you could, quickly as you could, sort that out. And then the next week is, you're a month late in your rent. Please sort this out as soon as possible. And then after that is, call this number to arrange immediate payment of your rent. It's all automated. It's all automated. So you ring the woman who sent you these SMSs and these emails, and she goes, "Hi, Miss Helen." And you go, "Oh, yeah, Helen, you sent me an email." "Nah, that was probably an automated one. What was this one?" And you go, "I said this." "Oh, so it's a type 3. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay. How close are you to, getting that together?" And she's lovely. And the guy who I actually have to deal with is really sweet. And he said to me many times before, "Mate, if you get in trouble, ring up early so we can work something out, okay?"
It's remarkable how often that actually works, because if you're a desperate down on your luck individual, you try and avoid creditors. But with a significant number of them, if you just straight up say,
"Don't do that.
Problems next month could be a drama," they're like, many of them will go, "Well, let's prepare for that. Let's go for the minimum damage from here on in."
And I had a lot of trouble. They foreclosed on my unit. They took everything in it and sold it and shut it down, which was a blessing. But I lost a couple of good things, but the rest of the stuff was they're welcome to it. The thing that was always good with them was I would say, look, I'm not going to have your money next week or the week after. And I'm only going to have, 15% of it the week after that. But what I'm going to do is put an extra 25% on top of each payment for the next 3 months. And they were always fine with that. They were always like, oh, yeah, I see what you're doing. You're going to chip away at it and get it done.
Yep.
And I said, yeah. And then what I would do is I would keep on doing it until I got ahead. Then they would send me my statement saying that you're 4 months ahead. And I go, okay, good. I can slow down now. And then another disaster would happen. And I would go, all right, I'm not going to worry about it until it goes 2 months the other way. So that's 6 months worth of leeway, which is a lot of fucking leeway. And,
Will you be surprised how much leeway the tax department gave me? Because I was talking about paying tax and stuff. And I fucked up and I didn't have any money and I just kind of avoided them for a while and they called me and I went, can you talk to my accountant and work it out? And so I call my accountant and go, I think I'm in trouble with the tax department. He goes, let me work it out. The worst one, which I just got passed last year, I owed them $40,000.
Which is quite a bit.
Yeah. And they're like, my accountant just goes, oh, okay, well, let's do a payment plan. He's kept up with tax before, so let's just do this. And he says, how much can you afford? And I this much. He goes, I'll tell him $1,000 a month. I go, they got to go for that? And he goes, they'll go for it. And he said, he went to them and said, he'll pay you back $1,000 a month. And then they were like, but that's not enough. That's a lot. And he goes, how about this? Okay. For 6 months, he'll pay you back $1,000 a month. And then he'll be back on his feet at that stage. And then we can revisit it. How about that? And they go, oh, okay. And it's just like, as long as you say you're going to pay them, eventually they're like.
And no, we're right with it. I was a young comic and I had a really good year. I just had a really fucking good year. I snagged like 3 or 4 TV gigs and I snagged like 4 tours. And it just came stonking in that year. And of course, I've spent it as I've got it, and then I've realised that because most of it went through different agencies, they've all put it through. Because I was used to everything going through cash, and they've put it all through the books. And the tax officer said, yeah, you owe us a shitload of tax. And I've gone, oh, no. And I happened to be in Canberra at the time. And I said, oh, what am I going to do? And my dear mother said, go and talk to him. Talk to him first and see what happens. And I rang him up and said, oh, hi, it's me. I might be in a bit of trouble here because I don't think I can pay you. And I want to work something out. And I said, oh, yeah, come in. And I came in and it was just lovely appointed lobby. And I'm just thinking, fuck, it's like a cafe. And they said, hi, where are your tax guys? Come and sit down. You want a coffee, a sandwich or something? And I'm going, yeah. And I'm like this daggy comic in my daggy comics, ripped jeans and T-shirt. Yeah. And they're like, tax people in tax suits. And they talked to me for half an hour about their favourite comedy for half an hour. And they said, oh, we better get into it. And they looked at what I'd earned and they looked at how I'd earned it, and they looked at what I owed. And they went, well, okay, how much have you got? And I told them how much I had, and they went, yeah, you're going to need that for the rest of the year. Right. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm surprised that you've made it this far with your heinous expenses, is what she said. And he went, yes, the heinous expenses of a self-employed entertainer
Yes.
Absolutely. And so they've got books out, right? And they're like looking through books because this was before,
Computers.
bloody laptops that you didn't have to carry with a brick, and before iPads. And they're looking through books and they're going, and they're looking at my shoes and they're going, those Nike Jordan Airs would have cost you $1,500. And they were like these plastic running shoes that cost like $10 from Kmart. I'm looking down and went, and they said the Nike Jordan Airs cost $1,500. I'm going, definitely. Yeah. And every time they said something, I went, oh yes, for sure.
Yeah, that definitely.
And they said when you got a taxi from your place to the airport to the gig to the gig to the airport to your place. And it didn't happen like that. When you got a taxi from your place to the airport to the and that the
cost a
taxi
lot.
was stupid, and he went the long way round, and it cost you $300. I'm going, fuck. And they just whittled it down and said, well, happily, we can only help you out a little bit by giving you a tax refund of $1,600. And I was on the hook for no shit, $45,000. And they took it from $45,000 to $1,600 up. And I went, can I blow you now? And they went, yeah. Basically, and at one point they said, we're the tax office. We're not here to kill people. We're here to run the country for the benefit of the country, and you're the country too.
Yeah.
And that was an interesting thing when they said that, because I'd heard other business people say that. Because you get a lot of business people and they're really freaked out about the tax office, and you get a lot of business people who aren't. Yeah. And they say, they're there for the benefit of the country, and you're the country too. And I'm the country too. And these are usually people who've got their tax shit together, and they've got their accountant, and they've got their bookkeeper, and they've got their fucking expenses fucking organised, so that the business is buying everything, or the company is buying everything, and the business is running itself through the auspices of trade. Because what isn't widely known is the Australian government wants the money to flow. It doesn't want it to stodge, right? It doesn't want like large clumps of money just to stodge in one area. It wants it to move, because as it moves, it creates energy as it goes. And as it creates that energy, it creates productivity. And as it creates productivity, it creates more and more wealth. Wealth is that thing that you are able to spend as energy. Think about it like this. If money has flowed and lots of people have done work, then a wedding can be had. And that is wealth. If money has flowed and lots of people have done work, then a dwelling can be had. And that is wealth. And that dwelling is a twofer, because you sit on it for 10, 15 years, and the government gets money out of it again as it's either sold or picks up rates value. So, if you keep on flowing that money around, it gets better and better, and you can put more money into education and science and roads. And roads gives you trade. Education gives you trade. Fucking science gives you stuff you can sell Americans. And scientists we can get taken office by Europeans and Americans. And the tax office understands flow, but a lot of especially right-wing businesses don't. That surprises me, that they don't understand flow.
Yeah.
What is that? I thought they were supposed to be the money managers.
No, willful ignorance. Willful ignorance is what it's about.
And it's getting on for go home time.
It is. It is definitely going home time. Another sterling evening, sir. It's lovely to see you.
Good to see you, sir.
I went to the dentist today. When you called me, I was just coming out of the dentist, and this is when I had to leave the call as well. So my mouth still tastes like blood from them. It was just like the checkup and deep cleaning that I hadn't done in ages, and so they really fucking went to town on me. But you know, the basic report was not fantastic, not terrible. So
that's good. You get to keep your teeth, unlike me.
for now. So I've got to see their gums specialist apparently. So but you know, so that's I might even take a bloody tablet before bed. It's not killing me, but I can still feel this guy spent half an hour really going to town on my gums with an electrical tool.
I have no idea what that's like.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So I love how teeth feel when they've been cleaned. It's like, it's actually all really smooth. Clean edges. But bits of my gums are just going, fuck me, he went hard there, didn't he? Yeah. I was like, okay. So, all you fine people, enjoy yourselves. Hope to see you soon, tomorrow night, all things being equal, It's a wild and crazy world. I hesitate to predict anything in this world.
Sorry?
I hesitate to predict anything in this world, even being in a live stream tomorrow night. Yeah.
I predicted that fucking the fucking Marga would go kicking and screaming.
And there's a lot of kicking and screaming happening now.
And I predicted he'd only do one term too.
Yeah.
And I was worried there for a while before COVID hit because I thought he'll go 2 terms.
Oh, without COVID, he would have
shit out of him.
Just
destroyed the shit out of him.
He would have fucking annihilated Biden if COVID didn't happen.
Yeah, but COVID happened, and
that shook the faith.
He got it. He got it, and it wasn't so much that he got it, was that he spent their money on getting better.
Yeah,
and he didn't spend their money on getting them better. He spent their money on getting him better.
Yeah.
So
he lost the faith a bit with that. So
on fucking genetic techniques to get him better that cost millions.
Yeah, fuck knows what they pumped him full of. But anyway, got to say good night. Good night. Take care, one and all.
Good night, everyone.
Bye for now.
Thank